What's up, hikers? This is Kyle from Keymaster Games, and I wanted to give you a quick video update because we got a special package in the mail from our friends at Panda. We're super excited about this. This is the pre-production copy. That is the copy right before we move into mass production. So this is our chance to see the game in its box form and open it up and look at all the components and give them feedback before we move into mass production. So I know you're excited to see what's in this, so am I, so let's take a look. Here is Parks, my friends. This is the sleeve cover. So as you can see, we've got artwork on the side here as well. It's the back, yes. Parks Kickstarter edition. Our friends 59 Parks, thanks for all the beautiful artwork. Got the Grand Canyon here on the side too. So, of course, our favorite Mount Rainier there on the top. I won't say every park as I see them because I think I'm just asking to get one wrong. There's so many beautiful parks in here. We've got player counts. You can see because the sleeve doesn't cover the top and bottom. You can see a little bit of the box, so we'll go over that. Might as well take it off. But before I take it off, first let's talk about size. You might be familiar with Space Park or maybe our other game Caper. So you can kind of see their size, about the same size as Space Park, although a lot deeper and square. But we're not here to talk about these two, so let's move those out of the way and get this sleeve off. There it is. Parks. Now, one thing we looked at when this comes in the mail to us is the spot UV on the top there. You can see there, maybe from the glare there, there's spot UV on the player count, ages, and the text. And that is the way we've chosen to have them printed. The one difference between this PPC and the final version is that this top will actually be metallic ink. And so you'll see throughout the entirety of this box, there isn't any metallic ink on this version because they don't do metallic ink on the PPC version. So, so the sides, we've got one side where you can lay it vertically if you prefer to have player count and parks visible vertically on your shelf. Also, if you don't want to have the player count, you can lay the box vertically on your shelf that way. And then the sides, we've got player count on this side, as well as a version horizontally without the player count. So you pick which side you want to put it on your shelf. Some people like to turn theirs vertically, we know that. So you pick which one's for you. So let's open this. Well, I guess you want to see the back of the box too. Here is the back of the box. You can see the glare on that spot UV. We definitely on the trail as well. So, and we've got all the necessary things down here on the bottom. That's the back. Let's get inside. Now, one thing to note inside, again with the PPC, there is no game trays insert in this PPC. So, as it comes to us this way, there's no insert. Things are just put into the box. The final version will have the game tray insert. But the first thing we see are postcards. You as a Kickstarter backer are going to get one of these 5. So it's random. Even we won't know which postcard will be in your box. But these turned out really nice. The backs are all the same, but the fronts are as beautiful as the poster art. We did notice 2 of them here, Grand Canyon and Denali. To our eyes, they turned out a little darker than we think they should be, so we're going to ask about that. We just think that the silhouettes of the animals as well as the name is not as legible as we think they probably could be, so we're going to ask about that, try to address that. But overall, those are the postcards. Let's see what else. Also included in every game is going to be a nice Polaroid picture just like the snapshots you take in the game. So that's an added piece put in there. Now we're getting to it. Here we go. So cards, they come in the PPC, they come like this, just so we can look at them, sort through them, check them. They will be wrapped in the final version, but let's see if we can separate these out a little bit. Got lots of different types of cards in here. We check over each one of these. We check to make sure the quantity is correct. We check to make sure that the printing is correct, and we check to make sure the alignment is correct and stuff like that. So I won't go over every single card. Maddox already opened this up before I got to look at it. So he was actually the first person to look at it, and he went through all the cards to make sure everything was in order. So I'm just getting to look at it with you guys for the first time. Look through. So the year cards, we check the alignment, making sure that the cards look good, were cut well. There's some variance with the PPC in the final version, but we always want to make sure that that turns out well. And so these are your year cards, little personal bonus cards. So this is your goal you'll be going after for the game. And we'll look through a couple of these examples, each one with their unique background to kind of match the goal. These turned out really well, so we're super happy about those. I won't go through all of them. There's so many cards in this, so we don't really want to keep it quick. Canteen cards, we're looking at the back of the canteen here. And these are your ability when you fill them with water. So we check that. That looks really good. Having the full art all the way around really makes it easy on the cut. Can't really miss the cuts. So you check the back to make sure the border. We did notice, if you see here, some of the borders are a little more generous than the others, so we're gonna have them address that. You can see kind of switches here, kind of a cutting issue. Could be expected with a PPC, but we want to make sure that's corrected. So we want to make sure that these borders are even all the way around. Okay, now that issue I think kind of follows around even on the other deck. This is the event deck. This has to do with the solo play. You can see the same thing needs to be addressed there. These are how the ranger and his ability works in solo mode. So get a pretty good look at that. I'm looking at the season cards, which contain the weather pattern as well. So you have your weather pattern down there. Season of Starlight. These turned out really well. I don't know if it'll come across in video, but there's a linen finish to these. It gives them a little bit of a matte feel, and some of this artwork is just, well, really all the artwork is beautiful, but it really shows up really well on these cards. And then we have the large gear deck, which will be collecting gear. Same issue, you can see right off the bat here, border issue. That translates to the front a little bit on these because we do have the border line, so you can tell if it's off a little bit. So that's something we'll be on top of. Make that change. That's why we get this copy before we move into mass production. So lots of gear to collect. I don't need to go through it all. It's all in here. And those are the smaller cards, so we'll get those out of the way. We'll look at the bigger cards. Yes, the Parks cards. These, now Maddox told me too that these have a little bit of a cut issue. You can see that Guadalupe here is pretty close to the edge, whereas Park is not. These are things we look for in this PPC print version. But at the back of the card, and the Parks here, we had a couple similar with Denali as well, just like the postcard we looked at, a little bit dark when it comes to reading. So I think we're actually going to up the blue here so you can read a little bit better, much like Zion. It's a little bit easier to read. And of course with that hot pink, stands out pretty well. Each card has established date, as well as the artist who did the poster artwork. So we're super excited to point them out. And then, oh, here's a good example of some misalignment here. So that is definitely a little too close compared to this side. So that's definitely off. That's something we'll point out and get corrected. And another thing to note on these parks cards is that all of this text down here, the little factoid, including where the park's located and some extra facts, and this box here containing the points, this will be gold, sorry, not gold, it'll be metallic ink in the final version. So it's not metallic ink on the cards right now, but it will be in the final. So they don't do metallic on the PPC. So, and I'd just love to go through all these slowly, one at a time, but want to keep moving because, as you see, there's tons more stuff down here, right? So, okay, parks cards, those look pretty good. You might actually ask, hey, what about all those wood components? They actually came in a separate bag. So we can take a look at these real quick before we come back to the main box. These are not even sorted in here, so let's just take a quick look at a few of them. And we've gone through several different rounds with these to try to get things right. So let's take a little sample of wood tokens out of the whole grab bag here. We'll make a little mountain scene. So a couple things we noticed. We were trying to really get the feel right of these tokens. We wanted that natural wood grain showing, sort of a stained aesthetic to it. But they still have a coating on them, so they're soft to the touch. They don't feel like wood pieces as much. There's a nice protective coating on there, and the color should last. So in this version, we did notice that the trees here, when we looked at the trees, they looked a little bit too close to the yellow of the sun. So what we asked them to do was do a separate color as well, and that came in another little package. So let's open that and see, make sure they got that right. These are just constant conversations we have to make sure all the things get done properly the way we want them. So here's the updated green that comes across. This was a little too yellow. We noticed that, so we asked them to update the color a little bit so it will actually be, there's the correct colors. We'll get a little mountain here as well. There you go. So those are the finalized pieces there, and you saw there were some of the unique animeeples in there. So you get to pick which one you want to take. Every time you take one, you can see that there's the eagle and the deer all mixed in here. They're all looking great. And we've gone through several rounds of this, so this is kind of the last look at that. And then we can take a look at the hyper meeples there. Make sure I keep them in focus for you guys. Printed on both sides. Those are looking great. They have a good feel to them. We want them to feel good while you're moving down the trail. So this is all the wood components, kind of just a giant pile here, but they will be organized in your nice game trays, which will be super great. Keep everything, well, I'm just piling it all over here. Okay, back to what the rest of the stuff in here. Another awesome part here. This is the molding proof for the enamel first player token. So this is not at all what it'll look like. This is truly on the inside of the manufacturing process. So this is what they send to make sure it's all correct. This is CNC'd, I think, out of a sort of nickel composite. The real thing will be much nicer, but this is kind of the proof they give us to give a look. That is the correct size. So first player, first hiker, that is what you would get when you become first hiker. You pass that around the table. So, and then we get down to the chipboard part of things. This is always exciting. So this is the chipboard, unpunched. Comes this way. It's a little bit different on the PPC. I feel like I keep saying that, but They cut it, and we noticed that some of the cuts are a little off here, so it's a little too close to the hiker. This print needs to be moved a little bit on the back side. This is more like what we're looking for, a little bit of room here. We've got the camera that you're after, and on this particular sheet we've got the trailhead and the trail end tile there with your different actions for reserve a park and buy gear and visit a park. And always remember, you get to relight your campfire at the end of the trail. So, and yes, the campfires have a player color on them to match your specific hiker. I don't think that's actually the match, but maybe this is the match. There we go. So you always have reference to which fire is yours, and when you spend it, it then goes out. So that is what you will flip. So we have that one punch board there, and then we've got two other punch board tiles. They take up the whole bottom of the box, and that is because once we put the game tray in there, you can, if you want to, you can put these under the game tray once you punch them out, and that will keep everything closed perfectly and tight so nothing shifts around. So we've got a few little instructions down there for you when you punch these out. But these are the trail tiles. You see forest, mountain, ocean, waterfall, valley. Got the one player token here for the campfire, and then you'll notice these nice photos, each individual little photos you can take on your journeys. Every time you take a photo, you also get to pick which photo you want to take. And then again, those photos are worth 1 point each at the end of the game. You see the back of the trail tiles there. Mount Rainier making its way again on the chipboard. Now here are the extra advanced tiles that get mixed in. We've got the Vista, that always is in the start game, but then we've got Lookout and Wildlife and the river tile, the lodge tile, and even more photos for you to pick from. There's going to be lots of photos, so when that season comes up where you need to take lots of photos, it's going to be lots of them waiting for you. Looks like the last thing we have in the box here is the board. Yes. Trifold. This is a wrapped board. So first, before I fully unfold it, you can see that the graphic goes all the way around, and it's got a nice black backing. So that will last a lot longer than an open chipboard, higher quality. And so it's a trifold board, and it lays out onto the table, or onto the box in this case. And your gear cards, for example, will fit nicely on here, as well as your park cards up here. And you've got room for canteens and seasons, and we've got a little reminder of season start, season end, and year end for your reference. So that will keep everything organized for you as you play. The trail won't fit on here. You're going to place the trail under this part right here, and that is what is included. And as far as the box goes, that's the last thing in the box. You can see that we did print inside the box, which nice wood grain, which reminds me, maybe I didn't show this, but if you stay to the end, kudos to you, because you get to see the inside of the box. This was an artwork that wasn't available, I believe, while the campaign was going on, so that is included inside the box, and that makes everything that was in the PPC version of Parks. So hope you enjoyed it. We'll keep you informed as things move along, and thanks for taking a look. See you next time.